Yeah, there's something here. Reverend Dr. Susan Brooks Thistlethwaite, who I quoted the other night, she's a professor of theology at Chicago Theological Seminary. She had something to say about unfettered prayer in the Roberts Court. But before I get to that, a new survey by this firm called the Greenberg Quinlan Rosner firm reports an over. Now it says Democratic aligned firm. Okay. An overwhelming majority of voters would support sweeping reforms to the Supreme Court because trust and confidence in that institution has eroded in recent years. Really? Yeah, well, any respect I had left, and I did. I had a lot of respect for the U.S. Supreme Court. I spent a lot of my life growing up under the Warren Court. And I saw, even though Earl Warren, who was, former governor of California, I believe, and a Republican, and considered conservative at the time Eisenhower appointed him, Earl Warren, Chief Justice Earl Warren, turned out to be one of the most, I guess I should say liberal, but I want to say forward-thinking or progressive or rational Supreme Court Chief Justices that this country ever had, in my humble opinion. So when these, when Rehnquist and the rest of these neo-fascists took over and allowed the undoing, because the drift in the Congress of the United States was ever more right-wing, even the Democratic Party. And as these cases presented themselves to the Supreme Courts after Earl Warren, the Supreme Court had, it seemed to me, in so many instances, no problem in striking down certain laws that had been passed that the more right-wing courts found to be unconstitutional. Having said all that, the trust in the Supreme Court, specifically in the Roberts Court, the John Pretty Boy Floyd Roberts Court, support is eroding. According to this report, wide majorities disagree with the recent 5-4 party line rulings that have upended a century of campaign finance laws and tilted the rules in favor of the extremely wealthy and major corporations. But this was the payback. This is what these justices were supposed to do. The five conservatives. When Fat Tony Scalia went on the court in, 92? And shortly thereafter, Uncle Clarence Thomas went on the court. And those two decided that they were going to, I don't know, they're like Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. Are you old enough to know who they were? Paul Winchell and Jerry Mahoney, do you know who they were? And Fat Tony plays the part of the human, and Uncle Clarence plays the part of the ventriloquist dummy. You ever notice that with those two? Jesus. But the Citizens United ruling was opposed, according to this poll, by a whopping 80% to 18% margin. 80% of the American people did not want that, according to this poll. I know, they probably asked 100 people and they were all liberals, right? You can believe what you want. But this polling found that 80% did not want the Citizens United ruling as it came down from the Roberts Court. Only 18% did. And the more recent McCutcheon decision, which lifted caps on total giving, was said by a 51% majority to be likely to create more corruption, while 8% said it would create less. I'd like to know what those 8% use for brains. Yeah. Even their holy texts will tell them that the love of money is the root of all evil. Even the Christians were told by Jesus himself, easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. I guess that was Jesus. I don't know who said it. But it's part of those three religions. And yet, you have Adelson, who's Jewish, or what's his name? Adelson? You have the Koch brothers, who I don't know what their religion is, but they all share this fanatical belief in the God of Abraham. And they have been told over and over again, and the Christians especially. The Christians were told directly, get rid of your material wealth, get rid of your worldly goods. If you really want to believe in me, then get rid of everything, take up your cross, and follow me. Right. Okay. Where was I? By a 60 to 36 spread, those surveyed said the Supreme Court justices were more likely to be carrying out a personal or political agenda than working to render a fair and impartial judgment. How about that? 60 to 36. And that opinion, according to this firm, Greenberg Quinlan Rosner, that opinion cut across party lines. John Roberts swore before Congress during his confirmation, remember, that he had great respect for precedent. But once he was confirmed as Chief Justice, he took off on a what is it called, a remarkable run of conservative judicial activism that has favored the wealthy while undermining affirmative action, undermining the protection for voting rights. I mean, John Pretty Boy Floyd Roberts has turned out to be an absolute goddamn criminal. There's no question about it.
Didn't he have a brain tumor?
Did who have a brain tumor? John Roberts?
Yeah, didn't he have a brain tumor or something?
You're breaking up.
It's a brand new microphone.
I think it's something in your board.
Maybe
or,
it's something in my board. Didn't he
I
have a
don't know.
brand new microphone? Didn't he have a brain tumor, or
I don't know.
brain something?
I think I do remember reading something about that. John Roberts, of course, was nominated ostensibly by George W. Bush. But the overall approval of the Supreme Court has been steadily falling since that 5-4 Bush v. Gore decision that handed the presidency to George W. Bush, even though he was not elected by the people, either through the Electoral College or through the popular vote, had the popular vote in Florida been allowed to continue. But in the most deliberate and egregious action of ending representative government, such as we all came to know it, the court, it was the Rehnquist court, wasn't it, in 2000, ended that. Yeah, Roberts was only appointed in 2005 or confirmed in 2005, 2006. So if the American public sees the Congress in a favorable light by only single digits now, 9, or maybe it's double, 10, 11% of the American people see Congress in a positive light. If Democrats don't like Obama, and Republicans, of course, hate him, and if the third branch of government, the Supreme Court, now is seen in such contempt, what? Hello? Are you paying attention? If none of the three branches of government is respected any longer, not one of them, then what do we have left? That's something to think about.